All right, folks. The Billy Meyer story is one of those things that just doesn't want to die. It doesn't want to go away. And since I have the absolute perfect people to ask, my ET girlfriend and her crew, I asked. I said, what's the deal on this Billy Meyer? What's the deal? Now here's their story. Take it or leave it. Believe what you want. Believe however much you want, and then leave the rest, whatever you want to do. But here's my understanding as given to me by them. Did Billy Meyer experience something when he was a little child? Yes. Yes, he did. In fact, a great many kids across Europe experienced, some things happening back when they were, there's Lowe's back. When they were a little, there's this Lowe's truck that keeps coming back for some reason. No, I'm not at Lowe's. Nice try. But there was, there was a lot of children that experienced some things all across Europe. Billy Meyer is no exception. Now, as far as though any of his adult stuff from when he was an adult, according to my ET girlfriend and her crew and the people on the other ships, there's nothing to substantiate any of that. Now you say, well, Vaughn, there's supposedly people that saw UFOs in the sky. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there's no question of that. But were they seeing UFOs in relation to what Billy Meyer was doing or had done? No. No. My understanding from my ET girlfriend and her friends and her crewmen and whatever is that the only thing he experienced was when he was a young child, a little boy, just like many other European kids, like it or not. And, we can get into the legality of that maybe in the future. But, which that's going to be a hot topic, I'm sure. But as far as they know, as far as I know, the only thing that is 100% rock solid is that when he was a little boy, he had some encounters, and that's it. But there is nothing to suggest that he had anything as an adult. What in the devil was that noise? I don't know what the hell noise that was, but whatever. Alright, anyway. So yeah. So now that's what I've got, and that's what I'm putting out there. Take what you want from it and leave the rest. Or don't accept any of it, or accept all of it, or whatever. But that's my understanding as I understand it right now. And because I wanted to broach this subject. It's getting put out there more and more again, and so I wanted to address it while I had the opportunity. And so, I'm sorry. You're okay. There you go. And I just wanted to touch on it, and so, because it's getting put out there again, so just thought I would address it and get it out there from their perspective, because they're going to know more about it than you and I. They're going to have a much different perspective than we are here on the ground. And so I wanted their input. And, unless she tells me anything different, the only thing he ever got was back when he was a little boy, just like many other kids in Europe did. He's not the only one, by the way. Let's be clear about that, too. He's not the only one. There were many children that experienced that. But, as far as any of the adult stuff, no. There's no substantiation for any of the adult stuff at all. So, I wanted to throw that out there where I had the opportunity, and because it's starting to get back out into the mainstream again, so I wanted to address that while I had the chance. And like I said, if they tell me anything different, I'll be the first to put it out there. But as far as I know right now, the only thing that's solid and concrete is the things that happened to him when he was a little boy. That's it. Okay? All right. And thus ends the Billy Meier thing. Now, Bob Lazar. The Bob Lazar stuff. My understanding is that it is not an actual craft. And one of the reasons, I know from just what I've been able to learn, is that the radiation would have made everybody bad sick. It would have made everyone bad sick. And so, that's one thing. Another thing is that, there was some reverse engineering going on, and there was some, suggestions made, and there was some things put out there, and, but as far as it being an actual craft, no. Is it a facsimile, mock-up, whatever term you want to use? But if it would have been an actual craft, radiation poison alone would have at least made everyone very sick, if not outright killed some people. So let's put that out there and put that one to rest. Because what did Bob Lazar say? He said, I'll put my hand right on it. No, because if he had, he would have got radiation poison. And he didn't. Now did he? No. Remember the man whose wife went to Bill Clinton because her husband had died from radiation poison at Area 51? Hello? And he wasn't even close to a craft, and he died of radiation poison. Okay? So much so that Bill Clinton got involved, and the whole Area 51 thing got exposed and put out there in the major media. And he wasn't even close to a craft, and he got radiation poison and died, buddy. So, just keep in mind. Now, was there some funny business going on as far as maybe a mock-up or reverse engineering or something to that? Okay, but as far as an actual craft, no. No, because as soon as he put his hand on that craft, he had got radiation poison right then and there. And he didn't, did he? No. So that ends that. That is the end of it right there. So now we've got those two things out of the way. Now, does that mean that I think Bob Lazar was intentionally lying? No, I think he believed he really was, doing what he was doing. I do. I believe that he believes that he really was dealing with an extraterrestrial craft. But we know from crop circles, and we know from other things that the radiation poison is deadly. And no, Bob would be dead today if he had touched that craft. And he's not. It was a facsimile, it was a mock-up, it was maybe reverse engineering if you want to. But you're not going to go up to something that's heavily radiated and touch it. Not without getting bad sick or dying. That's just reality. Okay? So let's just make that shit clear right now. The nice thing about having an ET for a girlfriend is that she can correct my ass if I say something wrong. And you notice she's not correcting me. Okay? So let's just make it clear. All right? And like I said, I'm sure that Billy Meier and Bob Lazar believe everything they say. I have no doubt of that. The problem is that you got a lot of funny business going on. And you have people that were doing things to maybe push Billy Meyer and Bob Lazar in a certain direction. Let's put it that way, and leave it at that. But the nice thing about having an ET girlfriend is that they have information that you and I are not privy to. And I feel confident that she would correct me if I was telling you anything wrong right now, which I'm not being corrected by her, so we're going to go with what she says. We're going to go with her recommendations. And, I wanted to address this, though, because Bob Lazar and Billy Meyer are getting back out into mainstream again, quasi-mainstream, let's say. And I thought I would go on ahead and address these two issues, since I have a unique perspective on the matter that nobody else has. And because remember, when I said she only had one ship, she corrected me, said she had 6 ships besides her heavy cruiser, and that it was a heavy cruiser and not a cruiser. She corrected me right then and there. Boom. She's not correcting me right now. So we're going with what she recommends, and we're going to put it out there. And like I said, take with it from what you want and discard the rest, or just totally reject it, or totally accept it. It's up to you. But that's the information that I have for you on the matter thus far. Now, if anything changes, I'll be more than happy to get back on here and say, well, she's got more information, and here it is. But she ain't doing that yet. So we'll go with what she gave me right now and deal with it there, okay? All right. Y'all have a good one. Bye.